Let me read to you a passage from the first chapter of St. Luke's Gospel, verses 5 to 17. It's the Gospel for the Vigil of the birth of St. John the Baptist on June the 24th. St. Luke writes, "In the time of Herod, king of Judea, there was a priest named Zechariah, who belonged to the priestly division of Abijah. His wife Elizabeth was also a descendant of Aaron. Both of them were upright in the sight of God, observing all the Lord's commandments and regulations blamelessly. But they had no children, because Elizabeth was barren, and they were both well on in years. Once, when Zechariah's division was on duty, and he was serving as priest before God, he was chosen by lot, according to the custom of the priesthood, to go into the temple of the Lord and burn incense. And when the time for the burning of incense came, all the assembled worshippers were praying outside. Then an angel of the Lord appeared to him, standing at the right side of the altar of incense. When Zechariah saw him, he was startled and was gripped with fear. But the angel said to him, 'Do not be afraid, Zechariah. Your prayer has been heard. Your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you are to give him the name John. He will be a joy and delight to you, and many will rejoice because of his birth, for he will be great in the sight of the Lord. He is never to take wine or other fermented drink, and he will be filled with the Holy Spirit even from birth. Many of the people of Israel will be brought back to the Lord their God, and he will go on before the Lord in the spirit and power of Elijah, to turn the hearts of the fathers to their children, and the disobedient to the wisdom of the righteous, to make ready a people prepared for the Lord." That's from Luke chapter 1, verses 5 to 17, for the Vigil Mass of the feast of the birth of John the Baptist on June the 24th. It speaks of life's meaning. What do I mean? Imagine a sleeping baby held in his mother's arms outside the church. His name is Matthew. He does not move. He is all peace, and about 6 friends look down on the face of the child. All are smiling, thinking of his life that lies ahead. No one knows what life will bring, but all are full of optimism. They do not know what the child's gifts are, nor what he will do in life, nor the degree of happiness or sadness that he will experience. The earnest hope and expectation is that the child will be happy, for how sad a thought it is that a person's life might turn out to be an unhappy one. But what is it that will give happiness to the child? Well, of course, many things go to make up a happy life, but it is certainly not just pleasure. Parents who set out to make sure a child's life is filled with pleasure and pleasures is taking the child along the road to unhappiness. Paradoxically, pleasure alone brings unhappiness. Among the things that will bring happiness to the child is his finding something worthwhile to do in life which he can really do. It could be building a happy marriage, raising his children, serving others professionally in some sense. Whatever it is, one's work is integral to one's happiness, work understood in the broad sense. It is essential to one's happiness that one serve others in some significant way. At a deeper level, a level comprehensible to the genuinely religious person, the service of God is the most satisfying thing of all. A person who lovingly serves God at great cost will attain a special happiness. Of course, one does not work and serve simply in order to be happy. One serves others for their sakes, as one serves God for his sake and for love of him. All this suggests to ordinary reflection that man is born in order to do a work in life, or putting it more generally, to work, provided we understand work as being the disinterested and loving service of God and fellow man. We are helped to appreciate this by considering the example of John the Baptist, who from before his birth had a work in life ahead of him. He had a calling, and the angel spoke of it to Zechariah his father. As we heard, many of the people of Israel he will bring back to the Lord their God, and he will go on before the Lord in the spirit and power of Elijah to turn the hearts of fathers to their children and the disobedient. Luke chapter 1 verse 5 to 17. Plenty of persons in history have been endowed with remarkable natural gifts. As far as I'm aware, Alexander the Great never lost a military engagement. Although he suffered severe losses in some battles, most notably in his conflict with King Porus of India, he held the field in every battle. He was extraordinarily inventive, adaptable, and masterful. No matter how great the forces ranged against him, he seems to have been invincible. Others could be cited as having possessed great natural gifts. The question is, in the nature of things, what is the meaning or purpose of the gifts one is possessed of? Their meaning lies in service. They enable a person to serve others by good or outstanding work. Their true meaning does not lie in self-aggrandizement. The Gospel makes it clear that John was granted absolutely extraordinary gifts of grace. Do not be afraid, Zechariah. Your prayer has been heard. Your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you are to give him the name John. He will be a joy and delight to you, and many will rejoice because of his birth, for he will be great in the sight of the Lord. He is never to take wine or other fermented drink, and he will be filled with the Holy Spirit even from birth. Various prophets and great men of Israel's past had been endowed with the Spirit of God, Moses, David, different prophets, but John was filled with the Holy Spirit even from birth. And this is usually understood to have happened at the arrival of the Virgin Mary and her unborn son, when John leapt in his mother's womb. This was a well-nigh unique spiritual gift, though we are not told that it was necessarily unique. Mary, of course, was conceived immaculate and filled with grace. The point here, though, is that his high spiritual gifts were his in view of his high work in life. His work for God, for the chosen people, for the Messiah to come, all this was accompanied by corresponding spiritual gifts. His gifts, his mission, and his work were all the fruit of God's undying love for us, his children. Each of us has work to do in life, however modest it may seem. Each of us is endowed with certain gifts for our work. John the Baptist reminds us that life has been granted to us to do our work for God and others, and the gifts we have are meant to be placed at the service of this work. Cardinal Newman once wrote this, and I quote him: "God has created me to do him some definite service. He has committed some work to me which he has not committed to another. I have my mission. I may never know it in this life, but I shall be told it in the next. I am a link in a chain, a bond of connection between persons. He has not created me for naught. I shall do good. I shall do his work. I shall be an angel of peace, a preacher of truth in my own place, while not intending it if I do but keep his commandments. Therefore, I will trust him. Whatever I am, I can never be thrown away." That is life's meaning. John the Baptist reminds us of it.